Welcome back to Without Shortcuts. Today we're going to throw together a strawberry cheese pie.
Now this is a great pie for the summertime when it's strawberry season. You can go down to the farmer's market, get some great strawberries. It's real light, real fruity. It's delicious. This recipe that we're using today is actually an adaptation from like an old mom and pop restaurant that used to be in my hometown, which unfortunately isn't there anymore, but they used to make everything in that restaurant from scratch, and this was one of my favorite pies that I used to get there. So we're gonna go ahead and give this a shot.
Now, in the true spirit of Without Shortcuts, we are not gonna take a shortcut here.
That's right.
And we're gonna use a fresh pie crust that we actually threw together this morning. Now, the reason this may or may not be a no-bake recipe is because if you have a store-bought crust that's already in the little tinfoil shell, you can just throw this all together and you're good to go. You can even use a graham cracker crust,
right,
and it'll turn out great. But we don't really do the shortcut thing around here. Seems like it might be in the title even.
Right.
But, so we're going to go ahead and roll this out. We're going to put it into our pie plate. We are going to bake it. Par bake it just with some pie weights in the bottom of it, and then we'll load it up. So we have our pie crust recipe here. Feel free to go ahead and take a look at that if you need to know exactly how to do this without the shortcuts. But because we already have that video, we will spare you the details. We'll roll this out and take care of it, and then we'll come back and we'll show you the rest of it. Our pie crust is finished and baked and just absolutely lovely. And we're ready to move on and make some filling to put inside it.
All right, so this filling is really simple. It's just, we're gonna start with some cream cheese that's softened to room temperature. And then we're gonna put in some half and half and then just beat this together until it's smooth. And then once this is smoothed out pretty well, we're going to gradually start adding sugar. And then make sure that all gets well beaten. Okay, and then the last two things that are going to go in are extracts. We're going to use some vanilla and a little bit of almond. Okay, and now that those are mixed together, we're gonna go ahead and really quickly just make some whipped cream.
So we already have sugar and flavors and everything else we need in that bowl. So all we need in here is literally just whipped cream.
Okay, now really carefully, because we don't want to knock any of the air out of that whipped cream, we're just gonna fold it gently into the rest of this cream cheese mixture. Once this is all mixed together, this is just going to go right into our pie shell. Smooth that out to cover the bottom. And then that's just going to go into the fridge to chill.
The next thing we need to do is create the fruit portion of this pie. For this, as we mentioned, we want to do a strawberry cheese pie. You could certainly do blueberries or blackberries or whatever fruit happens to be fresh and in season for you at the time. But for the strawberries, what we're going to do, we have 2 pounds of strawberries. We're going to cut all of these in half, make sure they're nice and clean the stems out, all of that. And then we'll take and place them on top of the pie, just raw as they are, uncooked strawberries. And then whatever's left, we're going to cook down and make into a glaze to pour over the top and kind of seal everything off. So we're going to get to work, we're going to process these strawberries, and then we'll show you the other steps as we go.
We have our strawberries prepped, so we're going to go ahead and pick out kind of the best looking ones and use those to top the pie, and then we'll put the rest into a saucepan on the stove to make the glaze.
That looks okay.
Yeah. Now, as a kid, I remember eating this pie, and they would just pile the strawberries on top of it. But since this is our own interpretation of the pie, we're going to take this, stick that back into the fridge to keep chilling, and then I'll go ahead and we'll use the rest of the strawberries to make the glaze.
Make what?
I believe it's a glaze.
Glaze. Gotcha.
So we've got our strawberries in the saucepan with just a little bit of water, and then these are going to go ahead and come up to a boil, and we'll let them cook down a little bit. And then we're going to add in some sugar and some cornstarch to help thicken everything up. And then right before it's done, we'll put just a splash of lemon juice in there. Our strawberries are cooking down really nicely, so we're going to go ahead and add in the sugar. Give that a good stir to make sure everything gets mixed together. And then once that kind of heats back up and comes back up towards a boil, then we'll go ahead and put the cornstarch in. Alright, so everything's back up to a real nice boil. We'll go ahead and add in the cornstarch. And that's just going to help thicken up the sauce. And when you first put the cornstarch in, you'll notice that your glaze gets pretty cloudy. But if you go ahead and let it cook for a couple of minutes, it'll start to clear up. And then once it clears up, you know it's pretty much done. So the last thing that we're going to do is add about a tablespoon of lemon juice. Give that a stir. And then we'll just pour this into a bowl and let it cool. Our glaze has cooled down a bit. It's thickened up pretty nicely. One way you can tell is if you take a spoon and run your finger down it, it'll leave a line right down the back of the spoon. So now that our glaze is ready, we'll go ahead and we're going to spoon this right over the top of this delicious pie.
You do want to make sure that your glaze is cool, because if it's still warm and you put it over the top of a cheese filling pie, you're going to have bad results. So make sure, be patient, skip the shortcuts, take your time, do it right.
Oops.
Come on.
No, that's the amateur hour over here. So we've got pretty much the whole top of the pie covered. I'll clean that up in a minute. But we've got a little bit of glaze left over, that's okay. This is gonna go back into the fridge to chill just a little bit so everything kind of sets together. And then we will cut a slice out of this and see how we did.
We have managed to create strawberry cheese pie. I'm pretty excited about this. We're gonna go ahead and cut into it. We think we've chilled it enough, but it's getting late and we're pretty hungry and we want some pie. So let's see what happens. My goodness, who taught me how to cut pie? All right.
There we go.
That's not too bad.
Not bad. Catch fork there.
Got it.
Okay.
All right, you ready to relive your childhood here?
Yep, I am ready.
Let's try this out here.
Okay, first off, I'm gonna say that's really close. That's awful good. It's not quite like it used to be at Burton's. We definitely should have let it set up a little bit more. Glaze is still a little bit loose. The cheese filling could set up a little bit more. But as far as flavors go, man, cooking the strawberries down with the glaze introduces just a little bit of a bitter flavor, but then you get the tart flavor from the cream cheese that's in that filling, and they come together, and man, that is just magical.
So this is my first time having this, and I have to admit I'm duly impressed. This is incredible. So I was surprised that we weren't going to use a graham cracker crust. 100% don't use a graham cracker crust. Mm-hmm. That crunch of the real pie crust in it absolutely adds to it, and the graham cracker crust would add too much sweetness.
Yeah.
Just the texture and that barely light, airy flavor of a good pie crust. Huge difference. This, when I taste it, reminds me of original, old school walking through the mall in Missoula, Montana, and getting an orange Julius that they make in the great big blender. Like,
yeah.
The strawberry flavor is so rich, but the texture is so smooth and creamy in your mouth that, I mean, it's really, I just can't even recommend this enough. This is, I had high expectations, and this exceeds them by a fairly wide margin.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's not quite like I remember, but it's a great pie. It's really, really easy to put together. Really, I think the hardest part of making this pie is taking the time to let it chill before you eat it.
Nah.
I mean, it's just like it's one step and chill, and then one step and chill, and one step and chill, and there's a lot of waiting that goes on in this pie. But if you do it right, you do it without taking shortcuts, it is totally worth it in the end.
Yeah, this is excellent. I mean, this is one you really should try. If you put this on the table at Thanksgiving, that's the only thing anybody would talk about. You should really try this.
Yep, for sure.
And, I mean, just look at it. It would be the centerpiece. It looks amazing. The colors are bright. Yeah, can't recommend this enough. So give this one a try. When you do, let us know that you did. Send us some pictures on Instagram. Check out our newest videos on the TikTok even. Those are coming around. Anything you can think of, we want to hear from you. We want to see what you guys are doing with our recipes and with our suggestions. And we want more of your suggestions to go with them.
For sure. So, until the next time, keep skipping the shortcuts.
And letting things cool all the way. We'll see you again. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.